We will not copyright or trademark that. We do not have the rights to this at all. Please do not sue us. Thank you.
Welcome to These Unprecedented Gays, featuring Joe Granelli and Paul Smith. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review wherever you stream your podcasts. Check us out on Instagram at tugayspod and email us at tugayspod@yahoo.com. We hope you enjoy. So now I gotta start over.
Do your thing. I'm leaning into you, girl. I'm waiting for you to do the introduction. You're waiting for me to do the introduction, and I'm just staring at you.
I'm Joe.
No, you're not.
I'm Paul.
I'm Joe.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Joe.
And we're These Unprecedented Gays.
We are. It is us.
How are you, Joe? How was your week?
Well, I know who I am. You don't want to be Joe. I guarantee it. Trust me, there's already one of me too many in this earth. Weekly update was good. The highlight of my week is that we saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, how was it? I didn't want to go on opening weekend.
Was it open weekend?
Yeah, it's opening weekend.
Oh, was it? I guess so. I feel like those Marvel movies go so fast. Like I when we were watching it, I was like, I don't remember what happened in the second one. And then it was really like it like tugged at your heartstrings.
That's what I heard.
There was a lot of crying in my eyes. The tears didn't exit the eyeballs, but it was like a lot of verklempt-ness. And I was like, I don't want to let the tears fall out. But it was really cute. I mean, Chris Pratt did a good job with acting. I'm Chris Rumrell.
Yeah, his stunt double who we've had on the show.
He must have been in there because there were some stunts. And it was just a really cute movie. So that was kind of my highlight of the week. And then the previous Friday, we did Cinco de Mayo at Baja Betty's, which was, Nick was like, let's go to Baja Betty's, which is a local, I guess, Mexican restaurant, right, if you want to call it that. And I was like, it's Cinco de Mayo, right? He's like, oh yeah, it was packed. Yeah. It was really packed. But the best part of that was the queso dip, which it's Velveeta.
Right.
Right. That was my week. How are you?
I was good. We did Cinco de Mayo. We went down to Betty's and had a drink also. And then we went yeah.
When?
Yeah, like 5:00.
That's when we were there.
Oh, we didn't see you.
That just shows how busy it was.
Right, exactly. And then we went to a derby party the next day.
A what?
A Kentucky Derby party.
Did you wear big hats?
No, I wanted to. Well, me and Andy, we went to Party City to go look for a costume. We wanted to come as a horse. Those couple costumes where you dress up like a horse?
Well, who would be the head and who would be the behind?
I was going to be the head. Andy wanted to be the ass. And I was like, so I wanted to wear it. People would be like, how'd your head? I'd be like, no complaint so far.
Uh-huh. I mean, you would look good with a horse head.
Yeah. Are you calling me a horse girl?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay. Like when I was in 7th grade, there was a girl, her name was Courtney. I'm not going to say her last name. And God, I am so sorry, Courtney, if you're listening to this program, but she was obsessed with horses and I called her Courtney. It was so good. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's probably why I've had a lot of bad things happen to me, because I was kind of mean to her.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that bad actually when you think about it.
She was obsessed with horses though. Like she had like horse hats.
So she would be like a horse girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what is a horse girl?
I think it's just a girl who's in love with horses.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Can I be a horse girl?
Maybe if you love horses.
I don't.
Okay. You just love horse hung.
I love her what? I love what?
Horse hung.
Yes. Hung like a horse. Nay.
Oh, that means we can move on to our segment, our favorite
Shall we
segment.
go for it?
That means we're moving into mouth to mouth. Mouth to mouth resuscitation. So what's giving you life this week, Joe?
You're going to be like, you're so stupid. I actually brought what's giving me life, and it is this new Hydro Flask water bottle.
We're not sponsored by Hydro Flask, but I love that.
So on, was it Saturday? Whatever day this weekend, I was like, oh, I need a new water bottle. And then naturally, since we have YouTube Premium, I was like, what's the best water bottle that has insulation and yada, yada. And I was like, oh, Whole Foods sells water bottles, and I think they're Hydro Flask. So naturally, I had to stop everything that I was doing and go to Whole Foods to get a Hydro Flask water bottle. So I go to Whole Foods and I get this water bottle. And I will tell you, like, I've had they're like the steel vacuum ones, right? Mm-hmm. But this stuff is cold. Like, it keeps it cold for hours. And then Nick, I was like, do you want a Hydro Flask? And he was like, well, I was like, you're getting a Hydro Flask. So I got him a Hydro Flask too.
So the drinking game for this episode is whenever he says water bottle or Hydro Flask.
No, that's it. Nope. I'm not going to play it. But if you have a water bottle, that's a Hydro Flask. So that's what's giving me life, and I'm going to sip from it right now.
Okay.
What about you?
What's giving me life right now is 3 different things. Trump was found liable for battery and defamation
of what?
In the civil rape case.
Which case is this?
It's the one with the writer accused him of rape in a changing room, and he's actually been found liable. He's not found guilty of rape, but he is liable for battery and defamation. So they're awarding her $5 million in damages. The second thing is Representative Slatton from Texas just got unanimously voted out of the House of Representatives because of sexual misconduct allegations with 2 of his interns. Yeah. One was 19 and got him so drunk that, yeah. So the third thing is George Santos was just indicted by federal court. So he is being charged with, they haven't said what the exact charges are yet, but he is going to have to appear in court as early as tomorrow.
How have I not known any of these things?
These just happened like today in the last couple hours.
So the Trump one, he had another thing that he was.
There's a couple of other.
Okay, yeah, so this is just one of many.
Right, exactly. But the thing what this does, it sets a precedent for everyone else who accused him. There were like 7 different women who accused him of this. And when he was in an interview and they were like, did you rape this woman? He's like, she's not my type. He didn't say, I'm not a rapist. I would never rape someone. He said, she's not my type. Oh,
dear. So he got, he got found liable but not convicted?
So they found him liable for battery, not for rape.
Okay. So, isn't battery like assault? Like you hit somebody?
Yeah. So it could be like sexual battery and things like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So this is so just to keep it coming.
The front runner for the 2024 Republican Party is a convicted criminal.
This was a civil suit. There was no criminal liability.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's a civil suit where she got damages, lower standard of proof for a civil suit.
Okay, there we go.
Andy, our expert lawyer. I know I claim to be a litigator, but Andy's a true lawyer.
There you go.
So the correction was a civil?
Yes.
Is that when it's like, okay, like a company or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, fuck, damn.
Yeah. So that's what I'm obsessed with.
Wait, and George Santos, so then he indicted means he has to go appear.
Right. And he'll have to they'll tell him what charges he's being faced with and stuff like that. So,
good Lord.
I just think it's funny. It's like, it always makes me think of that. It's like, joke where it's like, thank God I'm not George Santos, said George Santos.
I mean, the big thing with him was, like campaign finances, right?
Right.
So he basically lied, which is fraud.
A lot of his lying.
Oh, I mean, I'm going to piggyback off of you because a politics thing, something that's giving me life additionally was I heard, it's not necessarily giving me life, but it's interesting that AOC is partnering with Matt Gaetz on a bill. Did you hear that?
Oh my God.
Where they're trying to prevent Congress people from selling stock while they're in office.
That makes sense.
And it blows my mind because Matt Gaetz said in an interview, I don't work with corrupt politicians, and that's why I'm going to work with AOC. And I was like, oh, girl, you're corrupt. Do you not work with yourself? Anywho.
You know what else I'm obsessed with?
Tell me.
Our special guest this week, who is a multi-hyphenate. She is a producer, a director, a star, a singer. She was an art model back in the day. She was a clay model, but and a writer. We have Stephanie Sellars here. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you?
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm good.
So we watched your movie, Lust, Life, Love. But if you could give our audience, our listeners, a little background on you, like who you are, where do you live, what's your education, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in New York City. I've been there for a long time. I grew up in New Jersey, though. But yeah, I'm a New Yorker. And what else? I have 2 MFAs, one in film and one in writing. The writing one I got during COVID. That was like how I spent my pandemic, doing a lot of writing. Okay. And Lust, Life, Love is my first feature film that is inspired by my experience of polyamory and non-monogamy. And it's set in New York City, and there's a whole scene in the city. You know, it's fictional. It's a narrative film. It's not a documentary, but it's very much inspired by my experience. And it was a lot of fun to make.
And this was based on the article that you used to write, somewhat like loosely based on the article that you used to write for the New York Press. Is that correct?
Yes. Years ago, I was a columnist for New York Press, which is an alt weekly. And I was back in 06, 07. I did that. And then when I was at Columbia University at film school, coming up with screenplay ideas, my advisor, I had this idea for writing a screenplay about this subject. And he was asking me a lot of questions like, what do I know about this? And I told him, I wrote this column, and you know, originally my character, the protagonist, was a lawyer. Like I didn't make the main character like me. But once he heard that I had written this column and that I personally had a lot of experience, he said, well, why don't you base it more on yourself? That's more interesting. It's more interesting. And I said, okay, yeah.
So with the movie, like the title, first off, I want to talk about that. It's called Lust, Life, Love. Mm-hmm. Why that sequence for a name?
Yeah. Well, my column was called Lust Life. And so originally the film was also called Lust Life. But in the editing, we realized, actually, I think it was when we finished the edit and we were thinking more about marketing the film and submitting to festivals and all that. And it's like, you know what? It's not just about lust. It's not just about sex. So we wanted the title to more accurately represent the story and the content of the film. It has a nice ring to it too, kind of like, you remember the memoir Eat, Pray, Love?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that kind of, you know, triptych rhythm to it. So and with the triple L's, that alliteration, and it's like, and like life is in the middle of lust and love, right? Mm-hmm. Like right. You're asking what gives you life. And for me, it's lust and love.
See, now I went through this whole thing of like, well, it's kind of like a relationship. You have your lust that you start off with, life happens, and you fall in love.
Yeah.
You know, see, I was like deep into it. I was getting like all Freudian and like really trying to.
You were analyzing, and I was like, "That's a cool title," and I was like, "This is let's watch this." But I mean, so I want to know. You said it's inspired by your life. Like, walk me through kind of that whole, I guess, realization of when you kind of understood that monogamy wasn't for you. Because I mean, I don't want to say it's not standard, but what I want the listeners to kind of hear from you is just like your experience and how you kind of came about to getting into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I always felt it in me, and as soon as puberty, adolescence, and hormones running wild, and so many attractions, but it like I felt it, but it just, there was no model for having multiple relationships, dating multiple people at a time without lying and cheating. And my early 20s was when I started to really practice it, explore it. I didn't even know the word polyamory at that point, but I was just doing it. I had a really hard breakup. I was 22. First love, very traumatic, and I was like, "Fuck this!" And it was kind of monogamous by default, and I didn't feel constrained in that relationship. But I guess monogamy feels right when, usually at the beginning of a relationship, when during the infatuation period, where it's just like, oh, like you just want to be with that person, and but then over time, and that fades, and then it just feels more natural to go in a lot of different directions. I don't know if that fully answered the question, but I would say,
I guess through the question, we kind of biked around it.
Yeah.
Key takeaway is the hormones were flowing, and you saw a lot of people that you were very interested in, and that is fine.
Yes. I mean, with different life stages. I mean, and it's like, also I just saw around me that so many monogamous people were unhappy or cheating, and then like people were just getting betrayed and hurt, and I'm like, well, is there something immoral about having sex with more than one person at a time, or in the same time frame, or is it the lying and cheating that's more immoral? It's like, if it's consensual, then why not? That's like the whole premise. That's the whole tenet of polyamory and ethical non-monogamy, is that there's consent all around, but it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want, unless that's your agreement. Like, hey, you can do whatever you want. I do whatever I want. That is a form that I think it's called relationship anarchy. There's all these different terms, but there are agreement. You just have to make different agreements in non-monogamy. Like, yeah.
Okay. So with that, your movie was based on your main character being a bisexual polygamist.
I was going to ask the same question.
Which you are as well, correct? That was something that you took from
yes,
life.
Bisexual, polyamorous. Polygamy is when men have multiple wives. That's sometimes people like fundamentalist Mormons, or like when certain tribes, but that's sometimes people confuse the words because they do sound similar. Polygamy, polyamory, but yeah.
Well, and Paul has dreams.
Wait, what? Hey,
Paul, I have dreams. He said.
Multiple
husbands.
Well, we have Nick, our producer, is an ex-Mormon, so he probably could have corrected us on that. But so
wow.
Thank you for saying that, because I have also misconstrued the two terms in that regard. So we are learning and educating.
Well, I looked some of the stuff up, like for polyamory, like the different kinds of like relationships there are.
Uh-huh.
Now, because you went in the movie, you went to a lot of like, you know, some people would call it sex parties. I guess you could call it that. Well, like, but you always saw a lot of the same people there. Was that considered like your poly cell? Like,
in the scenes and in the film, yeah, I mean, I wanted to. There are parties where there's a sense of community where you do see some of the same people. You know, there are also a lot of new people, but the parties that I attended frequently in the city, there were often a core group of people you would see over and over again. Yeah.
Are swingers in the polyamory category too? I wonder.
They're different in that they are not interested in emotional connection with the other partners. There's usually a heterosexual couple, or where maybe the woman is bisexual, rarely is the man, and they just want to fuck other people, but they don't want to emotionally engage with the other people.
Interesting.
Like they don't want to cultivate relationships with other people. They're just interested in the sex. Yeah.
So strictly sex. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
When you cast this movie, was it difficult to get the caliber of people that you had in there? Because I mean, I love the main guy that you had in there, Jake Choi, who plays Daniel.
Yeah.
I thought he was so fantastic on Single Parents. I thought he was like,
and he was
great.
cute. He is a fun man.
And then like Melinda Declet is from Aquafina, is from Nora from Queens, and I think she's hilarious. And then Bill Irwin, who played the dad.
Oh my god, that scene was so cringy. Like honestly, like there was so much to unpack, and I was just like, what I appreciated the most about this film was how kind of like much you kind of wanted to break down, because you had by representation, you have different ethnicities. You are dismantling like societal norms with like the rich white people, and like representation with just like free sex. And it was just really refreshing to see. So I think that was really cool. And Jake, oh man, he was a drink of water. He was, and your guys' connection too was really, really authentic. So
I just really wanted to see more Bill Irwin because I loved him in Popeye. I thought he was great in Popeye, the Robin Williams movie.
I've never seen that.
Oh my god! But like you did get some like, you know, great actors, because usually when it's like an independent film, you usually get like, you know, independent actors and stuff like that. So to get this kind of like star power you had, I just want to know how that came about.
Yeah, we had a great casting director, Jennifer Peralta Jimian. She's based in New York, and she is the one who knew Jake Choi. And so she brought him and Makeda. Actually, they're both based in LA, and but Jake is from Queens originally, so he happened to be in New York, was able to audition in person. Makeda did a video audition. Bill Irwin just made an offer to directly through his agent. But I did have a connection through my husband, who also was in the film. We're no longer together, unfortunately. But he had taken a clown workshop, a bunch of clown workshops with Bill Irwin. Because Bill has that background, you know, as a clown and Broadway performer. So I had that little connection there. And what else? Just otherwise, you know, casting director and audition people. And with Bill Irwin just made a direct offer. There's also a stand-up comedian who has a little cameo toward the beginning of the film, Robert Kelly. And I don't know if you remember that little bit.
Oh, he was the fan.
Yeah.
So, like, is that like based on a real experience for you, or was that just something you just wanted to like
not
throw in
like
there and kind of?
Yeah, it's not a specific experience, but I've had the feeling of like people who don't know anything about polyamory coming up to me or like knowing that I've written about this subject, like asking me a lot of personal questions as if they feel entitled because they have written, because I've
because they've seen you naked in the movie and they've seen you
because of that, yeah, because I've exposed I've exposed a lot about my experience through my writing, but that doesn't that doesn't mean you can ask questions like, so have you done porn or what,
Right.
or like just like try to or think that I just want to have sex with you. Yeah, with every person I meet. No.
That was so cringy because I was like, is he trying to get her to go upstairs for a drink or something?
Yeah.
So I want to ask about the casting too, because when you had to obviously cast a movie, like, what did you have? I don't want to say have, but like, how receptive were people to like the theme and also like nudity? Because I mean, for folks, obviously this is an audio programming, but there is nudity and like you're naked, other people are naked.
Was there an intimacy coordinator on set during filming as well?
No, that was kind of before intimacy coordinators were really common. Like the film was actually shot in 2017, 2018.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I just was very frank with the actors and I mean it was in the audition breakdown that for certain roles you have to be okay with this amount of nudity. And so a lot of people actually that we were interested in casting did not even audition or said no right away on account of that. Like they didn't, they were not comfortable with it. And I could have, cast someone else in the role of Veronica, the role that I played, but I knew that I would go where I wanted the character to go. And then in that regard, in the sex scenes and all that. And like, and I was like, who is going to play it better than me? And like, it's my story. So, and in terms of like how we went about the sex scenes and the nudity, there's just a lot of conversations, between me and the other director I co-directed since I was acting. It just made sense to have another director, to have the outside eye, because I'm in most of the scenes, and just talking to the actor I'm in the sex scene with, saying, what are you okay with? What are you not okay with? Obviously, we're not doing, it's not porn. So it's simulated, but there are certain things we're going to be doing more than what you usually see in films where there's a sex scene. But in the big sex party scenes, we did have some people actually having sex. I don't know if you thought, yeah, it's true.
Okay, because like the only time I actually saw, because I mean there is quite a bit of nudity in this. We do see you fully, and
there is all of you. Yes,
and but like we see a lot of naked females, but not a lot of like naked males. But I did see one quick shot of a woman with her hand around a penis. And it looked like it was hard. So I was like, okay,
there are
really
some
into there.
I mean, if you like watch certain bits over and over, like, do a slow fast forward or rewind, you will see more penises.
You've just been meticulously hidden. Yeah.
It's like, where's Waldo?
But I have to say, so like none of the main cast had any actual sex in the film. It was just the extras, people who are actually who attended these parties, who are part of the community, who agreed to be in the sex party scenes there. And then there were different levels. There were people who were like okay with doing whatever. They were fine having sex on camera, no problem. We gave them a little bit of money, and then the other people were because usually in indie film extras aren't paid, non-union extras they're usually not paid. And then other people were just like okay being in the party scene and like being sexy, dressing sexy, and but not doing any actual sex. So yeah, I mean, the goal was to make it as real as possible, to make it as authentic as possible.
So when you guys were doing the sex scenes, I mean, there are sometimes funny sounds that happen. Like, how did you, I guess, work through that? Because like you had to like keep on a straight face, and like if there's like a fart noise, like how did you like not laugh?
Yeah, so so there's the that's so funny. Yeah, I there was a we shot with sound, so you know there was the recorded sound, but then for the party scenes, we did for in post. We were in the sound design stage. I brought some of those extras back into the sound studio just to record sex sounds.
Oh my
God.
God.
We could have like moaning. There was like spanking and yeah, because we had to there because there's one scene, the BDSM scene, and we needed the actual spanking sounds, right? Because you know we weren't actually doing the spanking when we shot the scene.
Oh,
but we needed the actual spanking sound.
So doing that and just in doing those scenes and just in general the whole movie, how hard was it to be both the protagonist and one of the directors on the film? Was that hard? Mm-hmm. And like, how many times did you have to do the sex scenes? I'm like, did you have to yell cut and then be like, okay, places back to one. If you're hard, don't be now.
Yeah. Yeah. For the sex scenes, there weren't that many takes. You know, it was blocked out where, you know, just like the general flow of it was blocked out. And then the sex scenes that were always closed sets. So we didn't have a full crew. So we only had the director of photography and the sound person with the boom there, and the actors. And then the other director, my co-director, Ben, he was in another room looking at the monitor, right? So, you know, it feels very safe and intimate. You're not like surrounded by a crew of people. And what was the other question you asked me about?
How difficult was it for you to be an actor and the director? And then also, how did you get objectivity while filming this, you know?
Yes. So, it was... I knew it would be challenging to act and direct at the same time because, you know, you can't be fully present as an actor in a scene if you're worried about what the shot looks like. And, but I also had a very strong vision for the film and having a female gaze. I didn't want it to be, you know, with a male director, just have the male gaze and have him take over with his vision. So, and I did consider having a solo female director who is not myself, but I couldn't find one. And so Ben and I, we had met in film school and worked on projects together before, and he was familiar with the script and all that, and he wanted to do it. And so the way we worked it out is that we were, completely equal, like collaborators, through the whole planning stage, pre-production, planning the shots, how we were going to shoot it, basically. But then once we were on set, he took over most of the time. I directed scenes that I was not in, but he and I, like, before shooting a scene, we would discuss how it would be shot, and then I would step out of the director role and go into the actor role, and then he would watch the monitor and give me direction, and along with the other actors. And then sometimes I would watch the monitor as well, because I wanted to see something. I wanted to check something. So yeah, I put a lot of trust in the other director.
And how long did it take to do filming, since you had so many hats?
The actual shooting, well, we had 2 productions. The initial production was about, I think it was like 21 days, something like that, in 2017. And then like almost a year later, we ended up shooting for a whole other week, because there were some scenes that we needed to add to the story. Okay. Yeah.
You're like Kenneth Branagh of this movie, because like you were like a director, a producer, a writer, a star. I love it.
And I'm sure the celebrity actors who are also directors and who have directed themselves, that they have a lot of support around them. They probably don't talk about it as much, but they probably put a lot of trust in the director of photography, the cinematographers, the assistant director, and so on and so forth, so that they're not going crazy.
So how did you get funding for this project?
I invested a lot of my own money into it. I also got some donations, and got the New York tax credit, which is a significant chunk of money. But you don't get that money back. Actually, I just got the tax credit this year, but I can't claim it. And it's crazy. It's such a stupid long process to get this tax credit.
It's like 6 years ago when you started. Oh
I know.
God.
You have to send all these this proof, like all these employment reports and all the expense reports, all the financials, everything, and then they question so many things, and then you have to provide more information, and you have to redo this and redo that. And
sounds like the government.
I finally got the certificate, but I cannot claim the money until like 2025 or 2024, and maybe it's 2024, because that's just like the way they do it. It's crazy.
So 7 years from the beginning until you can actually get money, like your tax credit. Oh my God. Yeah. Girl, you got patience. You're a saint.
So what was your overarching message that you wanted to have with this movie? And do you feel like you got that message across?
Yeah. That the overarching message, well, I'd like people to watch the movie and kind of just experience it for themselves. But I do want to say that, all relationships are hard, no matter what relationship style or form you choose, whether it's polyamory or monogamy and that, polyamory is just as fucked up as monogamy. That is a line in the film.
I got that from the movie.
Yeah. But it's also can be wonderful and a lot of highs to it, a lot of advantages to it. But you have to know yourself. You have to love yourself first. And that's what's most important.
So I want to ask about the costumes. So in the movie, you guys had some really cool, extravagant costumes. I turned to my boyfriend. I was like, "Oh my God, I love that makeup." When you were like I don't know, it was like
the cat or something.
It was like it was like some sort of thing with like the nose, and I was like, "Oh my God, that is so cool." And then the hair. Listen, whoever your makeup person was, and like the style, I was like A+. So, how prevalent is that in kind of? I don't know if it's the scene or whatever, like in the party scene, sex party scene. Like, is it always a costume party, or like how does that work?
Not always.
Or do people just show up in sweats?
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not sweats. Definitely not.
So we can't have a pajama party. It can't be a polyamory pajama party.
You could do that. I mean, there. I have been to pajama themed sex parties. Yes.
Oh my God, that's fun.
Yeah, but I some of them they always have some. I shouldn't say always, but there are a few parties that, like, that's their thing. They always have some kind of theme. And so people come in costume based on the theme. And so it is pretty accurate. There are other parties that are maybe more kink focused, BDSM focused, that are just more general sexy attire. Leather, vinyl lingerie, fetish, whatever makes you feel sexy. But I wanted to present the parties, just like give a sense of like how actual parties are, what they look like. A lot of the costumes were like, I used a lot of my own stuff, and then some other costumes came from other people who I think the House of Yes, it's this nightclub in the city that they provided some costumes, and people just wore their own stuff. And the makeup, Jodie King, that's the name of the makeup artist. She's awesome. Yeah.
And like, you took this film out onto the festival circuit.
Yeah.
And so what is it like doing the festival circuit? And like, I know that you guys won the Freedom Award here in San Diego at Film Out Festival. But like, what other festivals have you taken it to, and what has been the response? And
unfortunately, the film was premiered, did the whole festival thing, and during the pandemic, when almost everything was virtual. So like the premiere was virtual, even though it was Berlin Independent Film Festival. That was the premiere. And then it was in another festival in Amsterdam that was also virtual. And then a couple festivals in New York, and then San Diego. San Diego was the only, the one in Queens was in person. And then San Diego was the only like big festival that had a big theatrical screening. So I loved that. I loved Film Out San Diego. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah, we love it too.
Yeah. And it's like, after just a bunch of virtual festivals, it was really nice to be with people, watching it in a theater and then talking to people afterward. Yeah.
And how did speaking of San Diego, how did you get, like, how was the reception? Like, was it a lot of people had a lot of questions? Do you feel like there was a lot of education that you were able to provide?
Yeah. I think there were some poly people that attended, and I think one person like didn't like it, or something about, I forget what she said, or maybe it was something like, I wish I could remember her question, or something. She was disappointed in something, but I was like, well, this is, maybe because it made polyamory seem very messy or something like that. And I was like, well, this is my experience, and this is just, there are many, many ways to tell a polyamorous story. And this is the story that I happen to tell. This is, no matter how hard you try, relationships are messy. Mm-hmm. And life is messy.
Do you feel like during this process of making this movie, putting it out there and everything, has it changed any of your views on polyamory or how you feel towards it, that kind of thing? So either good or bad.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what happens in the film reflects what my journey through it. And at that time, the Veronica Daniel relationships and inspired by the relationship I was in and how, I was kind of moving away from polyamory because my partner was too into it and I was finding it too challenging to sustain. And not because I didn't believe in it anymore, but more because I did not have a secure foundation in that relationship. Like he and I together we didn't have that secure foundation. So we didn't have a strong foundation of trust. And so I guess that's another message that comes across in the film is that you really need to have a lot of trust if you're doing it with a partner, specifically, but also if you're doing it on your own, like a solo polyamory, where you don't have a primary partner, but you have multiple partners. You need to have a lot of trust in yourself and know your own boundaries.
See, I kind of felt like when you said it's like somebody who was new to it, it's kind of like when after Andy and I watched it, I told him, I was like, it kind of felt a little bit like when a guy finally comes out of the closet and they're new in the community and they start meeting people and it's like they want to meet everyone.
Yep.
I could totally see that. Yes, it's just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I saw that and I was like, oh, that just makes me think, because I was like, that's what I was worried with Andy when he finally came out. We were together, but it was like he hadn't a chance to sow his wild oats and see what the community is like. So that's how I felt like Daniel was. Like he's new to it and he gets in there, he jumps in feet first, and all of a sudden he's like, I want to try every color of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to eat that whole bag of Skittles.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of makes, it can make a person insensitive. Like they might not be aware of it, but because it's like so overwhelming and new, they don't realize like they're just at a different stage with it than the partner. And it's
right. And they have FOMO.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of like that kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, so kind of like speaking on the whole, like, new kid on the block sort of thing. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to people who are maybe considering going into a polyamorous relationship or are interested in it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, well, if you're on your own, if you're single, just, sit with yourself, meditate, journal, spend a lot of time masturbating. Like, no.
Girl, you don't have to be single to do that.
Sounds like just a daily thing.
I don't know. Just like, so you understand, so you really know yourself and understand your needs and desires and your boundaries, and don't just like get on a dating app and say, hey, yeah, I'm poly, without doing the homework first. Mm-hmm. And then if you're already in a relationship, like you're a couple, you want to open it up, then sit down first, have conversations about, what does this look like for you? How do you see this? what feels okay for you? What do you think? What would be too much? Do you want to just start having threesomes and going to parties and just keep it light? Or do you want to like actually go on the dating apps and have, separate accounts and see other people separately? So you just have to have these conversations right away.
Are there resources out there for folks? Like, do you have any recommendations on resources or like maybe reading materials or something out there?
Yeah, there's some books. The classic is called Ethical Slut.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They know me.
Yeah, Ethical Slut. I think it was written in the 90s, like by two queer women.
Okay.
There's another one more recent called Polysecure, which is by a therapist, and it's all about how about attachment style related to polyamory. Huh. So it's more like the and about understanding psychology and your like how polyamory especially can like trigger attachment issues. And it's very informative. What else? There are a lot of poly coaches out there. If you Google, you'll find some. I know a few. There's one in New York. Her name is Dr. Jana, Zhana. She does like workshops and things on non-monogamy, and so I think there are a lot of resources, especially in the cities. I'm sure San Diego has their specific resources for this. Parties, I don't know. I've never been.
Upside down pineapple girl. I told you that for the swingers.
Oh, is that an event?
That's a thing. It's like whenever you see an upside down pineapple in the yard, that means they're swingers.
I had no idea.
See, now you're learning something from us.
Wow.
Okay. Did you have any of your songs on the soundtrack? Because you put out an album, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a vocal jazz album.
Yes. I'm also a singer, and there is one song in the film, but actually it's a song that I wrote the lyrics to, Girl Who Loves, but I'm not singing it in the film. It was recorded, it was a different singer we recorded for the film, and then I re-recorded it for my album. Because I had done so many things already. I played so many roles in the film. I didn't want to also have my voice on the soundtrack.
Come on, Kenneth Branagh.
Why not? maybe for the second movie, you could just be, it's all you, and you play all the characters. And that would be fascinating.
The sequel.
Yes.
The sequel.
I may as well do that. Yeah.
So are you, like, what are you planning now? Like, what's on the horizon for you?
I'm actually co-creating a series about this subject. So my collaborator and I, we've written a pilot script. We've submitted to a few things and have a whole show Bible. So I'm going to be pitching it to programs, networks. I know it's not the same characters in the film, but it's like just a bunch of people practicing polyamory and non-monogamy in New York City.
Is it like Friends but with sex?
Oh.
More characters and way more queer, because
we want more penis.
Yes.
Yeah. And more genders represented.
Yes.
And we even have like a triad, 3 male triad. One of them is trans man with 2 gay partners. So those are some characters that we're working with. Yeah,
that's awesome. I feel like in 2023 nowadays, like that stuff is so refreshing. So that would be super fun to watch. I would watch it. Go ahead and make it and let me know when it's ready.
Yeah, we could do another podcast on that.
There you go. Do you have, I mean, when you're pitching to networks, are they receptive, or do you feel like you have to kind of, I don't want to say tone it back, but like, is it a weird space to navigate to do those kinds of things?
I don't know, because we actually haven't started pitching yet. We've only submitted to a few programs like Sundance, and Sundance has an episodic lab. There are these programs for filmmakers and TV writers that can like help you connect to networks. And once we have all the materials together, and we're gonna start doing more of that. But I'm sure that people would be open because it's out there. It's in the media. It's not just my film, and there are articles written about it, and
there are actual celebrities who participate in that kind of lifestyle or open relationships. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
That's right.
Are they really?
Yeah. So go to their production company, see if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
So they're probably not the only ones either. They're just the only ones who are open about it.
Well, and this might also be like, I feel like when you have representation, there's a big injection of people that start talking about it. And there's probably people out there that are maybe afraid. And then you give them the confidence and strength to do that with visibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only thing that I'm think people might be afraid of is the sexual content, because we want it to be at least as sexual as the film, sexually explicit, maybe more so, I don't know. But I know that there are networks that do that.
Girls on HBO, there you go. You're going to be on the big screen.
HBO, yep.
So when you're pitching this, or even when you were pitching the movie and stuff like that, were there assumptions, or even when you were on the festival circuit, were there assumptions about you, polyamory, or even the film that people made that were not correct?
Oh, good question.
I'm trying to recall.
We get the hard-hitting questions here. Let me tell you, I am like Barbara Walters. It's a 2020 special.
You are Barbara Walters.
Assumptions that were not correct. I don't think so, because I think that the film took care of all those assumptions. Like, they're like, people have assumptions before they watch the film, or before they go to parties and talk to other poly people and get to know them and how it actually is. I think that's when they have assumptions. So like after the film, the questions were more about, how did you do all these things, like act, write, direct. That was a common question. And or how did you film those party scenes? And what else? It's maybe one would be like, well, if you're going to make a film about polyamory, why not show it to be like, show it in a more positive light? That was something I was afraid of, actually. But I actually didn't get a lot of that. It was more like people recognizing that it shows both the positive and the negative. It shows like the highs and the lows of it. So it's not just like, oh yeah, polyamory is great. It's better than monogamy, because it's not better, it's just different.
And how, because you've had it out there for a while now, how do you feel about this child that is now out into the world?
I feel that she is, or they, I don't know, they.
Whatever their pronouns are.
Yeah.
However they want to identify.
She, he, they is doing great. Like, just, still, like, she hasn't given up. She's like, doing these podcasts, like reaching more people, and yeah, it has new life. I mean, it doesn't matter that it came out in 2021. That's when it was released. It's still very relevant. Nothing much has changed in that world. Yeah.
Ooh. Anything else, Joe, before we wrap up?
Oh, I'm ready for the rapid fire.
Okay. You got questions?
Yeah. I have one. Do you have any?
I have some. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, but we got to give her shout out time.
So, Stephanie, we're going to wrap up and we're going to do our rapid fire questions. But how can our listeners find you on the socials, and how can they find the movie?
Yeah, so you can find the movie on most VOD platforms. You can go to lustlifelove.com. It will take you to those platforms like Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Google Play, et cetera, et cetera. You can rent or buy the film. And you can find the film on Facebook and Instagram at Lust Life Love Movie. And I am on Instagram at _Stephanie Sellars. And yeah, it's on Twitter too.
Oh,
well, nice. We all watched it. Everybody listening, please watch this movie because it'll teach you a lot, not only about polyamory, but maybe craft some questions that you might have already had that you need to bring up to yourself and or to your partner.
100%. And what I really liked was that there was kind of just this real aspect to it where you could tell that, you or the character, it was like there was a little bit of inner turmoil, right? And then it was like the day-to-day, and it's like we all have a little bit of inner turmoil sometimes. And, at the end, you ultimately have to do what you have to do to be happy for yourself. So I appreciated it. So thank you for sharing it with us.
And I thought you and Jake Choi had amazing chemistry.
Get him in whatever y'all need to do a second something because the chemistry was fantastic. It was amazing.
Well, if they get the series up, maybe I'll invite him back.
Oh, there you go.
100%. There you
go. If he would be open to doing that after all his ABC,
I know. Single Parents only got one season, but it was still a really good show.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do our rapid fire before we wrap up. This is where we're going to ask you and ourselves some questions. No thinking about it. Just whatever comes to mind right away. All right?
Okay.
I have two. You have one. So I'll start off.
Okay.
Between Snap, Crackle, and Pop from the Rice Krispies, which one do you identify with more?
Crackle. Because I'm a Leo. I'm full of fire.
There you go. What about you, Joe?
I don't know what they do. What does that mean?
Which one do you identify with more, Snap, Crackle, or Pop?
Pop, because you did the tongue pop thing.
Are they characters?
Do you have never seen the Rice Krispie Treats mascots?
No.
Oh, they're like little elves. They're little elves.
Oh. I'll say I'll be Snap.
Okay.
Because that sounds feisty.
See, because I'm more Pop.
Yeah, you are.
Like, pop, 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 pop.
There you
What's your question?
Okay, so my question is, what never fails to make you laugh?
Oh. I don't know, fart jokes.
I was just gonna say.
That's what I was gonna say. Mine was farts.
Farts. Yeah, farts.
I love you. You're great. Is yours farts too?
Yes, mine is.
Oh my God, we're fart friends.
Ta-da.
Our producers are not a fan of flatulence, so we are. So I'm happy you also a fart friend.
I think it's something that makes everybody laugh. Like because it's such a human thing, right? And it's like no matter where you're from, it's like
a toot doesn't fail to make me laugh.
And I'm like, especially if it's like a child or a baby, like it even makes you laugh even more.
I know, because they're like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. It was an accident," and then it's just funny. All right, what's your third?
All right, so if you were a item on the McDonald's menu, what would you be?
Filet-O-Fish.
Oh, because she's serving fish, y'all.
I don't know. That sounds so trashy. I don't know.
We love it.
And a lot of Catholics eat you on Good Friday.
I think the Filet-O-Fish doesn't get enough credit. Like it doesn't.
I also
love a Filet-O-Fish.
That tartar sauce, it's like sweet and tangy.
Oh, Nick's coming over here. What's up?
Wait, so was it the dollar menu or the full menu?
Full menu, whatever you want.
Ooh, I do love I like the Filet-O-Fish as well, but I love the chicken sandwiches with extra mayo.
Okay.
But I also love the chicken nuggets. And that's all I know.
Okay. You can take the chicken sandwich, get it without mayo, but get the dipping sauce, and it's like having a giant chicken nugget.
Oh.
I think you're hot apple pie, Joe.
Oh yeah, they make those.
Yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah.
I forgot it. Oh, you know what I am? I identify. Oh wait, this isn't what we are. This is our favorite thing. I would say I identify as the ice cream machine because it's always broken. It never works.
I identify as the McRib because I'm only there for a limited time. Everybody talks about me, but nobody wants to go get it because they're ashamed.
And you are sopping wet.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on our podcast. Again, please go check out Lust, Life, Love on video on demand and check out Stephanie on Instagram. And everyone have a great week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Andrew Smith and Nick Stone for producing the show. If you like us, please follow us at tugayspod on Instagram and visit us online at tugayspod.com. You can find us anywhere you can stream podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know topics you'd like to hear. And always remember, stay safe, stay classy, stay sassy, and always stay a little bit trashy. See you next week.